imperfections. With this kind of perfection, whenever our story does not match our beliefs, we judge it as imperfections. Then we punish ourselves for not living up to our beliefs of how we think we should live. We eventually acquire a definition of perfection that has nothing to do with actual perfection. Being free from all flaws or defects. Most often, we read this definition through the eyes of judgment, from the point of view of someone outside who's trying to live up to the stories we've created about ourselves. And if we do happen to achieve perfection momentarily from this point of view, we reward ourselves with conditional self-love. Then we use conditional self-love as our motivator to pursue this distorted image of perfection in the future. It's a circuitous problem. Anybody feel like, oh my God? Yeah, okay. So, it is not easy to just wake up one day and say, you're perfect, and actually believe it. It requires desire and commitment. First, you have to leave behind any false ideals of perfection. You release your attachment to what you believe it means to be perfect you. In order to learn this lesson, I needed to stop judging myself for not meeting my own expectations and accept myself for who I am at this very moment. I began at the beginning, learning to love myself and giving gratitude every morning for being alive. And I wanted to start with this because this was the, inspiration behind my class today. I encourage you to, go deeper, maybe pick up this book. I have a lot of books that I'll probably talk about or I can give as references. This one is Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. His father wrote the 4 Agreements, and this is about the attachments. But it really was powerful to start looking at, wow, where am I attached to a vision that really is not real? And I think that having Sharon talk so much about real, we said we're going to be real this weekend, and if we're going to break free from our past, it's great to consider that first. I put on there a picture, and everybody heard this yesterday about the wolves, right? And I think that it's really great. What we focus on grows. So we heard about visualizing, vocalizing and visualizing, as Sharon said. I just thought I'd show a picture. I carry this, it's in my brain book, and it's a picture. One side is who I'm attracting, so I know exactly the kind of woman that I want to work with. The other side is one of my goal posters. I have one bigger in my home, a dream board, some people call it, but this would be just like a visual for me, when I might, again, get attached to an outcome. Coming back to, how do I forget my past so I can have a better future? Let me say it this way. Who thinks the future is completely unwritten? Who thinks that? I'd like to just give you an idea that right now, all of our future is simply our past and our future. I can't give my whole heart to this person because I did that before. And the last time, I gave so much of my attention, so much of my heart was broken. So I'm going to only love you from this distance until maybe something that I see is different. So is it really the past? The past is really in our future until we start to become aware of it. But once we can get our past in the past, guess what? There really is a total open road, and we can decide what our future can be with vision. Y'all getting this? I know it's a little deep. I got hair in my mouth. I think I was kissing the dog. Does your past failings haunt you? Does your inside voice continue to remind you of how much you stink? I put a different word. You're not enough. You didn't make it. If you've been in Mary Kay more than a couple years, you probably have a lot of those things going on. Never amount to much. No matter what you do, you never change. I did a little reading with one of my favorite mentors, Dr. Joyce Myers, and she says that oftentimes we're actually angry. We're angry. We can be angry at ourselves. We might not think we're angry. So the question that I pose is, what might you be angry about? We can't allow our future to be completely free and unwritten until we acknowledge what pains that we haven't let go of. And maybe there is something that is so deep, you don't think you're angry at all. I thought it was so funny one time, well, it must have been church, the person who says, oh, I don't sin. That's the biggest sinner of them all, right? So I think the one who says, I am totally out of integrity, or I am a big sinner, we are open to actually acknowledging, you know what? I sort of did almost walk out without paying for that little candy bar. I better go back. And now we're open to all those little things that we can become a better person with, correct? Yes? Well, the same is true when we start to say, wow, what am I angry at? I'm angry that so-and-so didn't support me. I'm angry that it didn't go right. I'm angry that that person quit. And I really, really believed in them. So when we start to become honest and real with ourselves, we can start looking at it. I want you to write down anger. And then next to it, I want you to write the word danger. The only thing different is D. And Joyce says D for her stands for the devil. Because anytime we start to beat ourselves up, we start to be attached to this vision that is not ever going to be perfect. There is no real thing. Yes, we're perfect in God's eyes, but once we start to realize that, that's really those negative words that we're allowing to resonate. And you have some tools that can put the past in the past. Are y'all excited to learn those tools today? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a couple more things, and then I'm going to give you those tools. So how do you create a perfect life that you're no longer reactive, but you're proactive in creating that dream life? Well, we start by asking some questions. What do you complain about? No, I'm not angry. Really? Okay, so what do you complain about? My husband. He doesn't let me go on these. Every time I try to go to my weekly meeting, he gives me a whole guilt trip when I come home. There might be something to write down. Maybe your kids. What do you apologize for? We used to be a pink Cadillac unit, and my kids were going through a difficult time, and I'm not a pink Cadillac unit anymore. Maybe I need to have a little come to Jesus meeting, have a little soul searching. What might be there that I'm angry about? What do you wish were different? One of my biggest ways of finding out for me if I'm stuck in this, Sharon had said, it's an external pressure. When I am not in my purpose, some things that I notice is I'm tired. I don't really want to do any booking calls, talking to somebody. That is, I gotta summon up some energy to, hi, how are you? Boy, you look nice. Like, it is not comfortable, but it's also not authentic, right? Because it's really not, if you think of that bubble of who you be, like, God already knows. Like, I'm standing here talking to you. If I was nervous and talking to a stranger, I might not be as comfortable if I'm not in my authentic place, loving who I am and not being angry at something. I might be living in the external, which is feeling like I have to do something that's awkward or uncomfortable because it's not really me. Am I at all making sense here?
Yes.
So, now that doesn't mean that once you learn the scripts and you can't be you in your bubble, okay? But when you start to feel pressure, when you start to feel your zapped of energy, we're not in our authentic self. We're not living with who we really are, and we're not honest with what we really want, which is what Sharon had said, get that vision. And we maybe are holding on to some anger that we haven't released. So, you got to sort of live with it. Now, Tony Robbins says this. He says, our problem is that we think we should have no problems. Like, oh, it's life, right? It's just life. And what if this was absolutely what was supposed to happen so we can actually think and be creative and blow our own minds because the Holy Spirit is growing us? What if nothing was really wrong? Okay, so how do you take back control? We as women can be paralyzed. I don't know if anybody's experienced this lately, but I was experiencing these past pains. And they're not going to ever stop, you guys. So see the picture I gave you? I'm a visual person, and I will meditate on these pictures. And if I want to stay like that, then I can allow those thoughts just to continue. Oh, woe is me. I call Joe and I have a woe is me and she kicks me right back. Who do you have that's going to get you back to where you are naturally, authentically powerful? You've got to have people that are there. Jules, somebody had ice. It was ice, it was you.
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking to Steph. She has ice for her husband. ICE is in case of emergency. Thank you. I did that for my mom. But you've got to have ice people that you call in case you have these negative things. Now, once you start, you might find, holy moly, I've got to call you every hour. And that can be okay, but the goal, the reason you're here, is that self-leadership is where, oh, I went 2 hours. I didn't need to call. I can work through these tools that Andrea taught me today. I'm going to get myself into a much more powerful place because I'm self-leading. Because if you can't go to work, you guys, and you're the president, you're the CEO, and you're the HR, you have no business. So we've got to be able to work every day. So let's review some facts, first of all. As women, we have 85,000 thoughts a day. Now, this is interesting too. Men also have a lot of thoughts, but men, their thought pattern is thought, thought, pause. Thought, thought, pause. That's how their brain works. We as women, thought, 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 thought. So what happens is we have all of these, and 80% of our thoughts are actually repetitive thoughts. It's like the same recording, right? Okay, now this gets even more scary. Of those repetitive thoughts, 90, some scientists say 95% are negative. Scary. Okay, so if we have one negative thought as women, then we have another negative thought. And then we have another negative thought, and then it goes negative, negative, and now you're like in the chasm. You're a full-blown, it's chaos. You have a panic attack going on. Someone cancels. Oh my gosh, how am I going to pay rent? Oh my gosh, that happened last month. And Susie's going to quit next. And I suck at this. I'm going to quit. I'm never going to make any money. And now we're, oh my gosh, all the way down in the rabbit hole that we can't even get ourselves out. So when we start to understand, knowledge is power. So it's really, I love that ignorance is bliss. It's the same thing. It's so easy when you don't know this. But now that I've given you something, now you can choose. You can be a B for victim. Oh, I'm just in a slump and I don't know how to get myself out. Or you can be a victor. Are y'all ready to be a victor?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because paying attention to your thoughts are not going to change, you guys. They're still going to come at you. I've been in this business. I felt some amazing successes, but guess what? You still have thoughts. And every day things change. You've got to be able to get yourself back up and have self-leadership. So let me give you an example, or question, excuse me. First question is, how do you feel about sales? Second question, how do you feel about recruiting? Third question, your business advancement. What about your goals? Your brain probably went to an emotion. Now, if we said that you have negative thoughts, and 90 to 95% are, in order to overcome that negative thought, it takes 5 positive thoughts to overcome that one negative thought. Okay? So let's just do the math here. You have 85,000 thoughts a day. 80% are negative. 90 to 95% of them are negative, so that's 60,000 negative thoughts a day. Let's multiply that by 5. So now you have to have 300,000 positive thoughts a day to accelerate, to get yourself out of that. But thoughts can create an emotional response. Who here has ever experienced emotion causes energy shift, right? Mm-hmm. Have you ever walked in and you're like, oh, what's going on? I can feel it. Okay, so we agree, energy is real, right? Mm-hmm. Have you ever walked in the room and you're like, all right, party, it's great in here. I want to stay all day. That's our pink bubble. Mm-hmm. So we agree, there's an energy. Okay. So, have you been in those moments where you're pumped up? I'm a champion, I'm unstoppable. What did she say? I'm in love with the game and not the fame. Love that line. Love that line. So, we're pumped up. We're gonna make today great. We walk into a store and this amazing woman helped us. We think I'm going to give her my card. But then that negative thought says, oh, but you're not even dressed nicely. And then the second negative thought, and then third, and then what do? You know what, I'll come back because I'm just not ready. And I've only been in business short time, so maybe my skill's not good. Unfortunately, what just happened, I thought that was a bug. Tail. In that one moment that we hesitated because of a negative thought, and we don't act, that one negative thought enters, and then we're downhill. Chances are you're never going to make any shift. And that quantum leap, as Sharon said, could be that teeny little shift. Are y'all ready for a great shift? Your mind has neurotransmitters. And as Sharon said, the moment you just jump and do it, Mel Robbins says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. There's power in the brain. You start to have these chemical responses and neurotransmitters fire. And now you have courage. You see, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is, I felt fear, but I just did it. I didn't have time to allow my brain to think a negative thought because I got into action. And that is why it is so easy for us to sit and say, oh, that's nice, she's up there, yay, yay, yay. But we haven't tried. We didn't put our butt on the line. We might not even clap that much because we're like, she's only been in business a month. And look, she's already up there. And who knows what negative thought might be going through her head. And I know we're not catty and petty, but those things happen. And so that immediately keeps us where we're at. And all that's missing is really that jump to take the action that's going to transform many of the neurotransmitters, and I'm sure it's neurochemical responses, but it gives us energy. And what happens then? We have an ability to refocus, we have an ability to recharge, and re-energize the brain. So I want to tell you that this little tool that I'm going to give you is from Deb Erickson. I've studied quite a bit of neuroscience, and one of the things that I appreciate are the tools, because I can easily go here, but it's a muscle. So if you have strengthened the muscle, you probably might experience, Jo, I talked to her and she's like down and then she's back up. So she has strengthened her muscle. It's not that she is better than all of us. She's just been strengthening the muscle, and she doesn't allow herself to think it all through. She just says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. If I mess up, I'll learn better and do it again. So we have that ability. So I want to tell you about a little mindfulness training, and I'm almost out of time, so this is perfect. So it is part of mindfulness is awareness. So one of the things that helps, and Deb Erickson says, if you're trying to develop this muscle, you should consider once an hour, maybe once every 30 minutes, put a timer on your phone, and you're going to do a little mindfulness breathing exercise. So the first thing that she recommends, and what science has said, is if you just close your eyes and tilt your head back, you're actually signaling to the brain, hey, it's all good. We're good here. You can rest. You can have a little peace. We're good. There's just a magical thing that you can just do like this. Now, deep breathing is a very powerful tool, but I'm going to play something because when you add a bell, or you can consider something else, but in this, and you can download this, go to her podcast, Deb Erickson, you can download this, but just this magical bell for 1 minute, you have your head back, you're going to breathe deeply in and out, and all you're going to do is focus on the bell. Don't have any thoughts invading, okay? So, your TV sometimes turns off, Joe. Is it just this?
I don't know.
You turn on the box, you gotta turn the TV
It's
down.
outside. I don't do outside. I do inside.
There you go.
Okay, sorry, I have to.
It's not where I
Oh,
put
well,
my
I know.
focus and training. Not what I choose to invest my brain in.
Okay. So, I just want you to.
Zeke's doing his deep breathing.
Okay, I just want y'all to put your head back for a minute, and let's listen to what she has to say.
And so
That's not.
I think,
Dear Lord, hold on, did I do the wrong one? Hold on, guys, I did it on Joe's phone. Joe, do you have your phone?
Yes,
We have.
but I took it away.
It's okay. if you can find that for me, I'm gonna close with this over here, because I have a couple things printed on that piece of paper that I'll just talk about right now. As we do this and you develop, no, I'm good, will you just hold that for me for a second, because I can't seem to process where I'm putting things. It says here, hi, I'm blank, and I am blank. I want you to know as we do this and we work on getting the past out of the past, you get to decide who you are. Who are you? Hi, I'm Andrea, and I'm unstoppable. I heard a story, she's 12, she introduced herself, hi, I'm Sabrina, and I can do anything. What's your mantra? Well, I get this, you write down in the blanks. Who wants to share one? Here we go. Anybody? Okay, here we go.
Let's take a nap. Right, we're gonna close our eyes and lay our head back. So just closing your eyes and tilting your head back slightly immediately causes the brain to pause. But then add to it a bell. And the idea of the bell is I want you to pay attention to the sound all the way out. So just pay attention to the ring and allow yourself to have no thought whatsoever, but just focus on the ring. So if you're not driving, close your eyes, tilt your head back slightly, and pay attention to the ring all the way to the end. Okay, you feel that? Just notice how everything kind of slows down as you focus exclusively on the ring. As you do that, just notice that you're not thinking anything negative, you're not worried about the appointment anymore, you're not worried about that chargeback. We've suspended the negative mental challenge. Now let's add something else. Let's add a mindfulness yawn. Yeah, a mindfulness yawn. So all I'm going to do is say, I want you to take the biggest breath you can and yawn. Okay, so it's kind of like, breathe in and then, Did you yawn with me? Yawning feels kind of contagious. So if I yawn, you'll probably yawn. Let's do it again. Big breath in. And then just at the top of it, open your mouth and just yawn. Now, interestingly enough, yawning also signals the brain that you're getting ready to take a nap, that you're letting go, you're releasing tension, you're releasing thought, you're just letting everything go. So now,
Okay, I have to pause it because we're out of time, but I hope you guys might research this, do a little bit more studying. But this can totally pause the negative spiral so that you can gain control again. And then you pull out your picture, and then you do your breathing technique, and you start to revisit your why, your purpose, your vision, okay? So the past can get in the past, but it's a muscle, and it takes a little bit more dedication and focus, okay, guys? Thank you so much. Yay!